This is my submission for Task 1 for the project-based module. This is a prototype virtual reality game that teaches the user about historical periods through the lens of gamified archaeology, which runs on the MetaQuest 3 and utilises the Unity 6 game engine, the Meta SDK system, and Fmod for spatial audio. This project has been the work of 3 people, myself, Jack, and Andrada. The areas that I was responsible for will be stated later in this submission video as a part of the responsibilities section. The members of the team shared responsibilities, with the roles being applied to everyone rather than a single individual being responsible for a certain element. Everyone had a hand in asset creation, scripting within Unity, and audio editing to ensure fairness among the team. The problem space for this project primarily stemmed from seeing that existing experiences for archaeology utilised very text-heavy panels for information delivery and were targeting existing archaeologists, limiting the potential user base. In a majority of these experiences, the user was unable to freely teleport around the environment and could only interact with a limited number of items, often user interface (UI) elements, to reveal text panels of information. There was very little hands-on experiences that allowed for the user to pick up tools and freely move around as they desired. Several experiences that were considered to be interactive had discussed how they could improve with the inclusion of haptic elements to improve the user experience, as seen in Liu et al. Virtual Reality Game for Archaeology. From this, the project had a clear problem space that was to be targeted, to create an engaging and interactive experience aimed at bringing secondary and college-level students into archaeology through gamification. Our goal was to combine immersive interaction with educational content in a way that would promote learning and an interest in archaeology and classical civilizations. The project was to use Unity 6, the Meta SDKs, also known as the Meta Building Block System, and Fmod for the spatial audio before deploying to the MetaQuest 3 headset. The assets seen within the project, specifically within the Greek and tutorial environment, were made within Autodesk Maya and ZBrush and then subsequently textured in Adobe Substance Painter. The non-playable character, NPC, was created in ZBrush before being retopologized in Topogun to bring it in line with the industry standard for game-ready characters. The textures for the NPC character were created in Adobe Substance Painter. In terms of collaborative tools for this project, the team frequently made use of Discord for discussions about the project. The team also had multiple Trello boards being created within the group for project management. The team also had a FigJam board that was created at the early stages of the project, which housed reference imagery for the assets, along with discussions of mechanics, audio required, potential historical periods, and an area for software that we were to be using, such as Blender, Maya, Unity, and Adobe Audition. To ensure that I would remain on schedule for this project, I had a personal Trello board that was used often, with my responsibilities split into a week-by-week basis with a colour-coordinated tag system used for the cards. Within this Trello board, I had several self-imposed deadlines to ensure that I would not be delaying the team with my implementations. It was decided that each member of the development team would be responsible for 2 environments and a number of mechanics that would then be shared between the levels. My initial responsibilities for the project were as follows: create the tutorial and Greek levels, creating assets for the respective levels and sourcing relevant audio to create a believable environment, create the non-playable character, NPC, who would act as the instructor for the experience, providing the user with information, create the audio trigger mechanic for the discovered assets, building further on how information would be delivered to the user, create the digging mechanic, allowing for the user to unearth custom-made 3D models relating to the environment, create the level selection mechanic, along with the subsequent settings menu to allow the user to exit from their chosen level. As the project progressed, additional responsibilities were taken on board to ensure a complete final deliverable. These were as follows: create the question system that triggered after the player had heard the information from the NPC character, keeping with the educational aspect of this project. Create, set up and debug the Fmod session for the Unity project files as the team transitioned away from using the Unity built-in audio. As mentioned previously, the team made a series of design documents that were made in the initial stages of the project, such as a shared FigJam board that the team used for gathering reference images and choosing what would be included in the project. The FigJam board was divided into sections for each planned level so that the references could be organised clearly. The FigJam board was heavily used for asset creation as the team had already sourced images that fit the shared vision. Additional design documents were made, such as storyboards to plan out potential user experience or gameplay. This was the initial storyboard that had been made when planning out the Greek level, with the potential user experience and how the user would interact with the scene. The mechanics I was responsible for were prototyped in the opening weeks of the module and improved upon as development continued. As an example of this, the digging mechanic originally functioned with a very rudimentary system in which when the shovel head collided with the dirt block, it would just remove the block entirely. This was then improved to create a dirt chunk on the end of the shovel head that the user had to remove before they could continue digging. Haptic feedback was also implemented into the digging mechanic as well. The quiz system required a lot of iterative testing to ensure that the UI elements were working correctly. In the initial stages of creating this mechanic, there was a few changes that needed to be made to the quiz layout due to elements overlapping, which would have then impacted the user experience. The following footage is recordings of the prototype VR game from within the MetaQuest headset. It should be noted that the Greek level had to be recorded using the Quest link and the editor mode rather than in headset due to several issues upon build deployment. These issues were seen by the technical support staff on campus who advised recording the level in this manner. On the recordings within the headset, there is a blue mark on the right hand side of the recording. This originates from the use of the meta building blocks.
Welcome to my laboratory. My name is Spade, and I'm an archaeology bot designed to help out with finding and understanding the artifacts of the past. I'll be traveling with you and helping you understand anything you unearth. I've got a whole lot of knowledge up in my head. There's some tools at the back there that you'll be using whilst you're with me. How about you test those out first before we go to a time period of your choosing? When you're ready, head on over to the screen and select where we're going. Oh, you found a statuette of Artemis. Nice. Artemis is the Greek goddess of the hunt, the wilderness, wild animals, and the moon. Artemis often was seen with a deer or a hunting dog to show her connection to nature. Pretty cool, right? Now, did you know that she's also the twin sister of Apollo? That's why Artemis and Apollo are usually represented with bows and arrows in statues and paintings. Hey, that's correct. Well done. typical Roman soldier was equipped with a sword, known as a gladius. This sword was short, which meant it was perfect for very close infantry tactics in combat. Hey, that's correct. Well done. Nice find. That's an ankh pendant. The Egyptians called it the key of life. They made these from gold, bronze, or even carved stone, depending on who it was for. You'll see it everywhere in their art. Even the gods carried it around. It's one of the most recognizable symbols from ancient Egypt, and people today still wear it as jewelry for good luck. Hey, that's correct. Well done. The longsword was the weapon of choice for hundreds of years, constructed from steel or iron. This sword could really pack a punch and be formidable to anyone on the wrong side of it. Hey, that's correct. Well done. Whoa, careful. You put the pin back in just in time. Oh, it's a training version. Totally safe. This is a Mills bomb, the iconic British hand grenade of World War I. Its grooved body helped soldiers hold it better, and when it detonated, it scattered metal fragments in all directions. The fragments were designed to injure enemy soldiers in the confined spaces of trenches. They were small, but deadly, and the grooves helped make the pieces fly evenly. It was feared but effective. Hey, that's correct. Well done.